Okay, wow, we have a whole 9 people in here. Okay, so Mickey D, your movement was actually looking pretty good while I was watching you play at the last tournament that we were at, when you guys were not engaged with each other. So keep that up. I mean, you were able to dash dance and all this stuff, pretty easily. So that was no problem. As far as the shield stuff goes, you literally just hold shield and jump, and it'll cancel your shield just by doing that. So because of that, and not all this is going to be useful for Marth, but because of that, you can cancel your shield with up B, because you can cancel your jump with up B while you're on the ground. You can also do an up smash, which doesn't really work very well in training mode. That's why I don't like doing training mode. In training mode, you can't use your C-stick, so I don't generally recommend doing training mode if you're trying to actually learn this kind of stuff. But that'd be something kind of basic. Other than that, just kind of keep your movement smooth and everything. Like we were talking about the other day, that's probably really loud. Hold on 1 second, guys. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. No, my movement's okay. My Marth movement's not that good. Um, it's just, you kind of just get used to moving around with all the characters after you play the game for a long time. But shield options are good to have. But so, like, if you're going to wave dash out of shield, a lot of people like to wave dash with the other button. So if you hold shield with L, you can wave dash with R to wave dash out of your shield to make sure you don't miss it. I normally just press the button again, so I don't really have a problem with the Project M change that was talking about on my Facebook wall. But I'm going to take this back out of training room, and we'll just play with the level 1 or something. That's how normally people end up practicing this. Um, but like we were saying earlier at the tournament, when you're playing this game, you're still using. Oh no, go ahead and ask your questions. I know you've got specific stuff you're wanting to work on. Yep, exactly. It's really simple, but it's just like the rest of the game. It's really accessible, but very, very, very deep. Right. You can, like I said, you can simplify it by instead of both inputs being R, you can have one of the inputs be L, and then you don't have to worry about releasing R and then pressing it again so fast. Um, so that'd be something to do. So that's basically what you were noticing when you were playing like with Andy Samus. How he was able to punish your forward smash when your buddies that you're playing with aren't able to punish your forward smash. It's because he was blocking it, then he was wave dashing in after the block. So that's where that's useful. So you can block an attack that's got a lot of lag but a lot of range, and then still get in there to punish it. Um, other than that, the basic spacing principles are tricky. Oh man, he almost got me with the Gimpy Fish combo. I didn't even know level 1's like did forward smash. Um, so in Street Fighter, obviously your options are going to be more limited as far as movement and things. So like something like this would be like a ridiculous poke in like Street Fighter 4, like disjointed, like you can interrupt it really soon with another one. So like if I just try to If I just let that move go, it looks like it's got a lot of lag, you see. But it's got interruptible frames. Interrupt as soon as frame, whatever. I don't know what it actually is. Where you can act sooner out of it. Your big spacing tool for Marth is probably going to be this. Now, we were talking about the other day how you're doing these, where you're kind of going in with forward air, right? The more the plan, I suppose, for starting out should be that jump back forward air. Because you're basically wanting to use that same fundamental knowledge of fighting games where you learn it kind of in steps. So you learn your solid normals, you learn how to do your pokes, and then beyond that you start to learn your combos and your setups and your mix-ups and things like that. So you'll want to start with something as basic as doing a retreating forward air. This is where C-stick will come in and make things easier for you, make it a little bit more easy to swallow, I suppose. Because jumping in and doing a forward air and retreating with the control stick, like it's just a lot harder to actually get sway back on it. You'll end up doing back airs on accident because you'll try to do it too fast. Even if you get the forward air, you won't be able to pull back as fast. So C-stick tends to be the best way to do that. One sec. All right, sorry about that. So yeah, you'll want to work on using your C-stick and stuff. Hello. For your aerials. You can do every aerial with your C-stick with the exception of neutral air, of course. But that's pretty easy to drop on and off of there. Okay, hi, sorry about that. I have no idea what I was saying. Oh, I think I was just talking about C-stick in general. You can C-stick pretty much everything. No, that wasn't, no demonstrating or anything. But yeah, with C-stick, once you get that down, you'll still be able to do like double forward airs and things like that. Then you can do them retreating instead of going forward. Still haven't shown you that match, but I was going to link you to that Mewtwo King versus Mango Super Champ combo match on there to give you a good idea of kind of the spacing. Once you get comfortable with the forward air, that's when I would start putting in neutral airs. Neutral air is just really good. That's kind of your next aerial to learn, but honestly I wouldn't even go there yet. It's a decent finisher. It pokes people pretty well. It's got obviously good range. Like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you can do it, it's hard, but not that hard. I mean, it's something that you'll be able to do eventually. Another thing that you can do just to be safer, especially against big characters, like I saw you struggling against. I can't remember whose Ganon you were playing, but you were always short hopping. So one thing that you're taught early on from melee players is you need to learn how to shuffle, which is true. You should learn how to do that, and I'll show that in a little bit. But I think I saw you doing that anyway, so I don't think that's a big concern. But in the same vein as Street Fighter, once you learn how to do like yeah, Brandendorf is Ganon super buff, so don't feel bad about those. Hold on. Alright, sorry about that. Um, yeah, so his Ganon's pretty beast, but like I was saying, as far as people teaching you how to shuffle and all that stuff, um, Melee is not a game that you can kind of put in a bubble and like learn X techniques and then you're good to go. You can kinda, and I mean like really kinda, do that with Falco to a certain point. Um, but if you play that way, you're just going to be limiting yourself in the long run. So, taking the concept of shuffling, short hop, fast fall, L canceled aerials are super good with like everyone in many situations, but it's not always the best thing. So if you're fighting a Ganon, for example, and you don't want to be punished every time, and you're doing like, let's say you're kind of going in with forward airs and you're, fading back and whatever, and just kind of poking them out. One other thing that you can do is that your forward air is very fast and very good. And it's huge. So you see how I'm doing a full hop rather than a short hop, but it's still able to tap him. So then I'm even further away, right? Then I have other options where if he blocks it, I can alternate doing different things or whatever. Just the same like you would in Street Fighter, how you have your one kind of meaty, fat jump in that you can do, but sometimes you'll do that certain jump in that'll beat a certain anti-air, or you'll do an empty jump in because your hitbox is a little bit smaller on an empty jump in, and you don't have any, and then you can go straight into a lag where you can go straight into a grab where most people are going to have trouble with that because a lot of people when they're first starting on Street Fighter are used to kind of grabbing after that amount of hits done, right? Where you hit the block and then you guys both tech and you reset the situation. So there's a lot of little subtleties like that in this game as well, where you've just got lots and lots of different options. Another thing that you'll start working in that's another kind of basic is just jump in, double jump back. So you do a short hop and then just not even do anything. You don't want to do this all the time, especially not versus Ganon. Using your double jump is normally something I'm not going to encourage you to do. But it gives you a lot of extra mobility. So if you just go like that, and they've got their shield up, basically what you've done, let me try to get some space. Basically what you've done is you've made him hold his shield for longer, or you've made him do something, right? The smaller his shield, yeah, that double jump back is good. So the smaller his shield gets, and I know this is another thing we were going over, the easier it is to shield poke him. So if you do any sort of like hitbox move with a big, especially with a big disjoint or something like that, you see on the stream where his sword is at the end of it. If that sword is hitting a piece of the character that doesn't overlap with the shield, you'll shield poke him. Which is pretty solid for Marth versus a bunch of characters. Some characters have better shields, some have worse, but the longer you get him to hold his shield by doing one of those forward air full hops, you've kind of got more options. Now versus like a guy like Brandendorf, though, for example, if he sees you just like jump in, jump back, and then not do anything about, coming down with another aerial or whatever, he's just going to like run at you and jump and do an up air, and then you don't have a jump and you're off the stage. So use sparingly, of course. don't do it very often, but it's something that you can do at very least to kind of alternate a bit. Like the whole point of dash dancing and all this extra movement and stuff like that. When you're first playing, or when people are first looking at it, it kind of seems like you're just like randomly doing it, and it doesn't like really do anything. But the more you're able to kind of move in and out and everything, the more you can do. What's basically the equivalent of whiff punishing in Street Fighter 4, right? So if you're playing against Ryu or something like that, and you're keeping yourself outside of. I will get to that question in just a second. So if you're fighting against Ryu in Street Fighter 4, for example, and you know he's going to use, crouching medium kick to fireball option select, which every Ryu in the universe is going to do, but you're just outside of that range, you watch him whiff that medium kick, and then you can bop him with something, right? If you keep fading in and out. So like doing this in Street Fighter, where you're just kind of wobbling back and forth. It's the same concept as dash dancing and wave landing and all this stuff. You just have a lot more mobility here. So and so does your opponent. They're not locked into this grid like they are in Street Fighter. You've both got all the options in the world. This stage isn't really the best example of that because you're in more of a 2D plane, but it's something. Coming from Marvel and going into Melee can be, it's both tougher in some ways and less. Exactly. Dash dancing is exactly the same concept as wobbling back and forth. You're just moving less in Street Fighter. So as far as coming from Marvel goes, Marvel requires a lot of really strict reactions where you're going to be able to do hit confirm into whatever from like a little tiny tap or something like that. Melee has a ton of that, so it's super important. The difference there is getting the hit. You know, you call your assist and you do your X mix-up, and you've got a couple of different set mix-ups and things like that. It's not quite as simple, I guess. That's where I think a Street Fighter background kind of has an advantage. If I were to give one game an advantage, Melee is obviously a very different game than both. If anything, I'd say KOF players would have the easiest time picking up Melee of any of these games I've seen, just because of different jump arcs, jump heights, things like that. Marvel, though, at least you're used to a little bit more mobility in your game. But just the general stuff is going to help. I mean, it also depends on what character you're going. General advice that people like to give, like I was kind of saying to Mickey D earlier, people like to teach you to shuffle right away. Shuffling is very good. Shuffling being short hop, fast fall, L-canceled aerials. It's super good, but you don't always have to do an aerial when you jump. Just keep that in mind. You do not always have to do an aerial when you jump. Even as Falco, where it seems like, well, why wouldn't I do it like a down air shine or something like that, right? You don't always have to do an aerial. Sometimes jump in, jump back, down air shine instead, jump in, jump back, forward smash, jump in, wave land back is super good. One thing that people like to do as Falco also, which is kind of tricky to demonstrate as Marth, is they'll jump, they'll do a neutral air, and then they'll wave land, or they'll fade back afterwards, so that you can't shield grab it. But they'll do the neutral. The first hit of the neutral air is going to be thanks. The first hit of the neutral air is going to be looking like it's punishable, but then you fade back to a spot where they'll try to shield grab it, and you'll be able to forward smash that, for example. I'll show that in a little bit. But yeah, in how do I explain it? In Melee world versus Marvel world, Marvel is a lot more about getting that first hit, and well, this actually is pretty Melee too. Once you get that hit, you need to capitalize a ton on it, because both of these games are super momentum based. Yeah, so that's another thing where Mickey D, in this game, actually this kind of relates to what I was just showing you. It's very momentum heavy, which we were talking about while we were out getting food at the last tournament, where your movement could potentially be super good. You could be good at opening people up, you could be really good at comboing, but you can still really be horrible at Melee. The difference there is how you react to getting hit, basically. So if you get hit and you find yourself double jumping to get away from them, or you find yourself DIing towards them too much because you don't want to get hit by like a big kill move, and you're not recognizing that there's a very big difference between DIing moves that are meant to combo you and DI moves that are meant to kill you. The defensive nature of the game is super important, I suppose. The other thing that you're doing, so like, and it's the same kind of a thing as like I was saying when you're doing these, when you're jumping forward and you're doing forward airs at people, because sometimes like if you're playing against like a CPU Bowser, this looks like a pretty solid option. When you're approaching, you need to be able to approach correctly. So even if you're doing all sorts of little dash dancing around and using it for footsies and whatnot, For I guess you can call them footsies just coming from a Street Fighter background. It's what it is, same exact concept. But when you decide to go on the offensive, all of that spacing knowledge and whatnot kind of goes out the window because you're like, now I have to hit him. It's the same thing as what a lot of Street Fighter players, when they're first playing, do. You see them emulate that kind of walk back and forth, and then they'll maybe throw out a limb or something like that. But then when they go in, they're like super sloppy, and they like do these random aerials, and they don't hit confirm very well and whatnot. It's the same general concept here, as you just need to start taking baby steps to get in, to start getting that hit. I wouldn't go for super complicated anything at this point. Yeah, so just try to keep it super simple. Like when I pick up a game, and this frustrates a friend of mine, a buddy of mine named Grim. When I pick up a game, the first thing I do is I look at all the normals of the character that I'm playing, right? To see like, okay, this looks like an anti-air, this looks like a this looks like a, the kind of basic stuff. And then I don't even really care about the specials. I just want to learn how to use those. So I'll do a couple of rounds where all I'll do is normals. Basically, that's what you should be doing here. Starting out the game by just kind of, especially with Marth, because then it'll be really obvious when you're getting it and when you're not. Because he can be played, if you play him with super precision, he can be so good at keeping people away from you and just pestering people. But as soon as you get out of position, because he was a popular character for a long time, a bunch of people just kind of know how to destroy him. Especially if you're playing against a Falcon or a Ganon or a couple of kind of random like mid-tier characters. Marth's weight seems to be kind of perfect for comboing on some of those guys. So that'd be something I would kind of keep in mind there too. Other than that, Smash is a very aerial game. So most people have probably been talking to you about forward airs and neutral airs and shuffling and wave landing and all these things, stuff that uses jump. Marth has a lot of stuff that does not use jump. One of the big ones being this guy here. Up tilt is amazing. Really good move. It's kind of hard to describe exactly how to apply that move. But if you go in there and there's kind of like a little gap in the action, it's not a bad move to just kind of throw out there. You don't want to do it from all different spacings and things like that. Other than that, with Marth, his grab game is ridiculous. Like if somebody whiffs an attack, hopefully he does something. Bowser? No? Not going to do something? Nope, he just likes Fire Breath. He likes Fire Breath too much. Oh, there was an attack. But if he whiffs an attack, it's super easy for you to get a dash dance grab because your grab reaches like forever. It reaches like the whole entire world. So if you're on a different stage, I'll show you some other platform stuff. Oh, let me show the, what was your name? Falco Italis, is that how you say it? Let me show you that quick Falco fadeaway that people like to do. I'm sure you've seen people do it. Some people call it the tomahawk. Some people call it, we used to call it Peabody in SoCal, but you'll do a neutral, but you'll fade back. See how I fade back on there? If they block that neutral, whoa, a lot of people will try to shield grab that neutral. Then you get a chance to pop a forward smash on them. That's what I was trying to show you before. Anyway, let me get back to Marth here. No contest. If I can find him, here he is. Marth, yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good. It's not like the be-all, end-all of Falco, but it's a good way to get kills. On platforms, Marth grab. Well, I guess I'm playing against Bowser. On platforms, Marth grab is going to land. Like, his grab is so big. His whole arm there, and then a little bit in front of it, is actually the grab box. And so he leans way forward. Because my neutral, you see how far back I am? He's not leaning forward or anything like that. So that's super huge range. See, he leans forward, then he reaches. I'm sure you're aware that Marth has big grab range, but it's bigger than you think, most likely. So it's really easy to punish with stuff, with get-up attacks, with, whatever it is. When you've got a knockdown, Marth is a really scary character to fight against. Yeah, empty hop, grab, whatever it is, empty hop, whatever. I mean, it's all the same thing. So if you've got a guy... Oh, this isn't training room. That's right. If you have a character that you're fighting against and they're up on this platform up here, you got lots of big hitboxes that hit up there where your body's not up there. Yes, grab punishing is super good in this game. Really good. I know it seems weird from like Street Fighter because it's like, but then I only get X amount of damage and X amount of positioning. But yeah, grabs are, well, depending on your character, grabs are really good. Yeah, I'll get into that. That's a super complicated concept. That's something I've been talking with Mickey about a lot. So, yeah, when you've got hitboxes that go up there, when your hurt box is way down here, that's a good thing, obviously. You've got a sword, so make use of it. You also have this very awkward, floaty fall, so if they're like up on top of that platform, you see I'm not quite up there, I'm just under it, but my sword can reach at like almost any time here. If you've got someone knocked down on top of that top platform, and you're chasing them or whatever, just kind of jumping up there, waiting for them to do something. Obviously, if you fall down past here, they're going to have a free get up or whatever. But if you've got them knocked down and then you see them get up, or you see them choose a direction, or you see them do a get up attack, you can do an up air. That'll probably knock them down for another tag, where you can kind of repeat the scenario. Where a lot of the times in a knockdown scenario on up here, your first instinct is going to be like, oh, I better go get him. You want to make them move before you do stuff. So kind of an old school trick, if I've got somebody knocked down, let me go into training room actually. It's not working quite as well. We'll go back into training room and then pop back out. To this when we've, oops, tournament mode. That's not what we're trying to do. Oh, sorry man. So if we pop into training room, and we go to the same stage. And we knock myself down. Okay, so from this position, you have only a few options to do. Yeah, tournament mode. If you're playing with people who are using tournament mode, you know that they're not past a certain level. Maybe that's rude, I don't know. Yeah, if you do... So, oops, excuse me, sorry. So if you're knocked down here, you only have so many options. You can tech right, you can tech left, you can get up in place, or you can do a get up attack, right? Which most people's hits both sides in one direction first, then the other direction. Knowing those options, if I'm standing here and I've got a guy who's knocked down up here, you'll want to just wait and see what he does. If he didn't tech whatever you hit him with to get him up there, or whatever. There's lots of situations where this will come up. Especially since you have this, which will knock people onto platforms all the time. So if you've got them up on the platform, a lot of the time they're waiting for you to move and you're waiting for them to move. Well, you clearly have the advantage in this situation. It's just like scoring a knockdown in Street Fighter 4, and then you've got your setup, which is like either a safe jump, or you've got a kind of a tricky cross-up, or whatever it is that you've got. Same type of a scenario here on a knockdown when you're marth under a platform. But you have super duper advantage in this situation. So knowing where he can go, either here, stay in place, or get up attack, and he's waiting for you to move. A lot of people do this. I don't like that. A lot of people do wave dash. I also don't like that. Super old school trick that I like to do, just go like that. Your jump animation, the very little bit beginning of it, is going to look very similar to this, to just doing one crouch. So if they see you crouch, a lot of the times they'll immediately react because during that roll they're invincible, or during that get up they're invincible. It's punishable for sure, for sure, for sure. But if you just jump up there and do an attack and they roll, you're going to go right through them and miss because they're using that invulnerability to whiff. If you crouch and they get up, then you can just react. And then it becomes like, okay, how quick can I get in there, right? Super old school, like, crafty magic, basically. It's phenomenal. You make them think you're moving by doing something that requires no commitment at all. Because at no point in that crouch are you limited. You can jump at every frame of your crouch. You're limited in that you can't like crouch and dash immediately while it's going down, but that doesn't really matter because you're Marth and you have a big sword. It covers the whole universe. So that's another scenario where you have something that you can apply that you probably didn't consider applying on knockdown. If anybody else is in here that has questions, feel free to ask. I know a decent amount about Smash because I've been playing for a long time. I'm not like the best at knowing everything, but I know a decent amount about this stuff. Okay, Italis was asking about spacing and positioning. That technical Silent Wolf question remains to be answered. I can tell you this though, when I was first playing this game, and Otto and DJ Combo, who was known by Tori at the time, were starting to pick up the game as well. Otto was always kind of technical, right? He was always fast and could do a bunch of cool stuff. But when I asked him, I remember asking everybody in Washington what their goals were. Yeah, be it Baffa, Andrew Baffa, or is it? Yeah, Andrew Baffa. He's doing a good job. I like calling him Baffa, not BFA. He's doing a really good job because his focus is tech skill, and that's exactly what. Yeah, Tori Bird, not Tori named Tori. Tori named Nate. That was always funny. Just as a side note, I always tell this story. When Nate's tag used to be Tori, and he'd introduce himself to people at like a major or something like that, right? And he'd go, "Oh yeah, I'm Tori. My name's Nate," which is really confusing to hear because most people who have a tag that sounds like a name, that's their name. But his tag was Tori because it's Japanese for bird. There's my side story. That always amused me. But yeah, Silent Wolf's goal, when I first was asking him about this was in like 2005, maybe 2006, but I'm pretty confident that this was 2005. His focus was he wanted to be the most technical player in the world. And I remember asking him, well, don't you want to be the best player? And he said, no, I want to be the most technical. I'm sure now he would like being the best, but at the time that was his focus. So, I mean, if you put yourself to the task, you can do whatever you want, as long as you're dedicated to it and you work hard. I mean, to a certain extent, talent is a factor in everything. Everything. That being said, Melee has not been perfected. No character has been played perfectly. The closest thing I feel like, and it's still, I'm sure, far off, is Mutaking back in the day when he was playing super hard and he was playing Marth. I feel like that's the closest a human has come to playing perfect Smash. Anyway, as far as the spacing and things like that, I'll get to your question in just a second, Mickey D. As far as the spacing and stuff like that goes, spacing and good positioning is of supreme importance in Smash. But coming from a game like Street Fighter, like Marvel, like KOF, you're used to positioning being kind of a grid, right? Where you guys are locked onto this grid. Marvel's a little more chaotic, but I'll talk about that in a second. Where you can move X ways or Y way, right? But you can't move any other way. You have complete limitations. Characters with fly, characters with double jumps and air dashes and stuff like that are a little bit different. But essentially in Melee you have infinite mobility. I mean, you can go up on platforms, you don't have to go up on platforms, you can jump all the way up there, you can go wherever you want. And it's always changing, like even versus this little CPU Bowser, the positions that we're both in are constantly changing just because I'm moving. Yeah, exactly. You can't run past each other, but in this you can. You can go wherever you want. So it becomes a really difficult concept to explain to people who are used to a more traditional fighting concept, just like it was really strange for me when I first started playing Street Fighter 4. When the game, and I love how pure Street Fighter can be, but when I was first picking it up, it frustrated me, because in this game, one of the best spots to be is in the air. You want to jump, right? Well, you don't really want to jump in Street Fighter, you're just going to get beat up. So you feel very limited immediately in Street Fighter, in my opinion, to where instead of the game saying, yes, 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 do this, do this, do this, which is what I feel like Melee is doing, the game is saying, no, 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 you can't do this in this situation, you can't do this in this situation, you can only do this. So Street Fighter is a game that says no, and in a very good way, because there's super strict rules, and because of that, balance is achievable. You can do a lot of really good things when you have a very strict rule set. Like, I like to equate it kind of with like chess, where you don't have as much freedom as you possibly could ever have, but you've got enough freedom to make it your own. Yeah, I know him. Practicing by yourself is tough. First, have a copy of the game. Sorry, Mickey, I know you don't have a copy of the game yet, but we haven't got one in at my work. I might actually have an extra copy that you can borrow, by the way, Mickey. Practicing by yourself is hard. The one thing that is most important in Smash is mobility, period, which is why a character like this big fat Bowser is so bad, because he's not mobile. No, I don't consider a TAS perfect Smash at all. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. The reason that I don't consider it perfect Smash is because the game is so dynamic that decision making is such a huge and important factor, and a TAS can never, ever, ever achieve the same style of play that you'll actually see in Melee players. But yeah, practicing by yourself, what I would do if it were me, other than getting down basics like doing shuffling and things like that, which I know I feel like I've been bashing on it. Shuffling is like one of the most important things in this game, so don't get me wrong there. You just want to be able to be mobile. So one thing that a lot of people like to do when they're trying to get super technical, which might not be your goal, but having a good grasp of the technical of this game is very important. One thing that a lot of people do is they'll set up a routine, right? So you'll start on one ledge and maybe you'll like wave land on this stage and do, like an auto cancel forward air, or an edge cancel rather, forward air here, and then, do whatever and make like a routine. If you ever make a routine and just practice it, and it has a bunch of different applicable things where, you've got runoff and forward air, retreating forward airs, or whatever it is, that's a really good way to kind of keep yourself, keep a direction, I guess, with your training. Because a lot of the time in Melee, I'll just kind of run around and not do anything if I'm playing by myself. That's where it becomes difficult, and that's why, in my opinion, you kind of have to already be in the scene to start getting good. It's really, really difficult to practice the defensive stuff and the spacing stuff of this game without an opponent. Because CPUs are going to train you to have bad habits. Level 9s are not useful. I would always play against level 1s, maybe like mix it up to level 4 or something like that, just so that some of them have different DI patterns and whatnot. But it's really tricky to practice your spacing without an opponent. It all goes back to the game just being so dynamic, so always changing. You could practice, trying to stay away from a CPU. If you're playing a character that works that way, but you're playing Falco and Pikachu, that's probably not the best way to practice, because your whole concept game is fairly aggressive with those two characters, at least in theory. Oh, Mickey, you asked about, yes. Yes. So defensive options. If somebody hits your shield, the really obvious one, he's not going to do it. Really obvious one is shield grab. You just hit A. If they hit your shield, now I'll get into why that's not always a good idea. But that's your first option, is shield grab. Really easy. If somebody does an aerial into you and it's not spaced absolutely perfectly, you will land that grab. There are a few exceptions. The exceptions being the most common characters in this game, Fox and Falco. And just anybody that kind of knows what they're doing. There are counters to shield grab. But if your goal, yeah, if they go behind you, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But if you're playing against the people that you're trying to actually beat, I feel like you could probably literally beat them by playing Ganon and shield grabbing, and that's it. Or Sheik, same thing. Like, you could beat them with just that tech alone. That being said, I know you don't want to do that. You want to actually learn the game, so don't just do that. Um, so in this game, like you said, they can land behind you, right? So if I shield facing this way, that grab's missing, right? That's not helping me any. That's actually opening me up. So shield grab should not be a reflex. Shield grab should be a reaction. Just like doing a Shoryuken as an anti-air. It's a big beefy anti-air that's super vulnerable. Should never ever be done as a reflex. You want to do it as a reaction. Sometimes you'll do it as a read, but that does not apply to this unless you feel like they're going to dash dance around you, which I wouldn't even worry about at this point, because characters can go through each other. You see, obviously a character like Bowser, it's a little bit more difficult to go through him. But like you'll see situations where somebody will do like a down smash, which hits that side, then hits this side, and most of the times it's not on purpose. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. But you can have a character that dash dances past you for that first hit and then back the other way and dodges both hits. So that concept can be used occasionally for get-up attacks or whatever. It's really not reliable that much. Not that I've seen anyway. I mean, maybe 2015 Melee will prove me wrong. We'll see. Yeah. Super technical. But you'll see knockdowns where people with Falcon, they'll dash up to you and then they'll dash dance out, hoping that you're going to do a get-up attack to try to catch them. And then they'll dash in as your get-up attack is attacking the other way. So that sort of a thing does apply. It can also apply to Marth, because Marth has a really good wave dash and really good grab game. Other than that, though, I mean, if they go behind you, the one thing that you have to realize in this game is the good characters in this game, and some of the not as good ones, but mostly just the good characters, their offense is fairly safe if you shield it. But under the assumption that we've shielded an attack and they've landed behind you, that's where you get into stuff like rolling, which I know you said you discovered rolling is very, very punishable. It is absolutely very punishable. Spot dodging, very, very punishable. This doesn't look very punishable, but it's punishable. If someone reads a spot dodge, you can lose a stock from a combo or whatever else it is. Yeah, so you don't want to do that too terribly often. Oh, 1 second, guys. Okay. Yeah, it's good.
Try it. Stick to this.
Excuse me, 1 second. I'm gonna have a piece of this pizza. Sorry about that. That was delicious pizza, by the way. Um, Man, I don't even remember what I was talking about. Well, I've been playing this game for like 9 years. Keep that in mind. Movement and stuff is it just comes with having played every character in this game like for a bazillion hours. So I think I was talking about, yeah, out of shield options. So yeah, spot dodges and things like that aren't necessarily the best. You just started to learn about wave dash out of shield. Wave dash out of shield is good. Dashing as opposed to running. Yeah, wave landing's super important too. I'll talk about movement and stuff like that in just a second. I hate FD. Don't practice movement on FD. Don't do it. Okay, so out of shield options, the the scary thing is when you think about Fox and Falco. Fox and Falco have the best thing in the world, that being Shine. Shine's one frame, it's invincible. You can clank with it, so it's not beatable, but you can at least like do something. Not that that's reliable. And then you can jump cancel it, which means you can do anything ever out of it. You can't jump cancel it. I think there's a couple of frame delay before you can jump cancel it. But maybe there's not. I don't know. It's crazy. But um, if you're playing against a Fox and a Falco, and they land in front of you, but they've done like a drill or a neutral air or something like that, I'll pick Fox and I'll show you real quick. I'm definitely not like at all the Fox type, but I can at least show you this. If you're playing against a Fox and he does a neutral air and it doesn't hit you on the way up, he's just gonna land, whoops, and do that, right? Well, if he does that, and you try to shield grab, that Shine just hit you because it's faster than your shield grab, right? But it's just slow enough, considering the end lag of that move, where I'm doing that kind of landing lag there, where you have enough time to get the shield grab out. You know what I mean? So if you try to shield grab Fox Falco, a good one, you're going to get hit. Period. What you need to do there is, that's when rolls start becoming important again. Because if they are, just like everything else in this game, it's multifaceted. If they think you're going to go for, yeah, exactly, and not active for the grab. Yep. Up out of shield's an option. It's not a great one as Marth, so I wouldn't stress that too much. But it is an option. If you're Bowser, like my Bowser, up B out of shield is like the greatest thing in the universe. It's his only redeeming thing that makes him even remotely not the worst character in the game. Drill is also another one to watch out for. I'm going back to Marth. I don't know what I'm doing with Fox. I don't know what I'm doing with Marth either. But, so if he drops down on you with attack, sometimes you can shield grab him, but not until you've taught him that you know other things. Just like when you're playing somebody in Street Fighter, there's a certain level of respect that they like to call it, where you'll start to kind of respect the fact that you're playing against someone who's not afraid to do a Shoryuken, right? Yeah, exactly. Conditioning, it's the same exact thing. So you start to respect that, and you'll play a little bit differently. Then you'll start doing your safe jump setups, or you'll start trying to bait that out, or whatever else, right? If you're playing against somebody that's shield grabbing every time you hit their shield and you're Fox Falco, you have no respect for them anymore. You just go nuts, and you're probably going to destroy them, like really badly. But if you start mixing in roll to the side, if you start mixing in just shield for a while, even light shield to get pushed back just a little bit more, wave dash out of shield if you notice that they're getting kind of a little bit further out in front of you. I don't know that perfect Street Fighter is achievable either. That being said, I feel like there is, because it's within a set of rules. There's almost always a best decision. That is assuming you are reacting to things, though. There is not always a best decision for opening somebody up. But I feel like in Street Fighter there can be a best decision that's defensive. So no, I don't think you can play it perfectly. If they land behind you, your options are limited a little bit more. I'm going to assume we're not talking about Fox and Falco, though. Yeah, exactly. Daigo in his prime was so close to perfect Ryu, And the reason that you say that is because his reactions were perfect. I mean, well, they were pretty close to perfect. Where if there was a thing that could be done by Ryu to stop you from doing what you were about to be doing, he would stop it. Like, and that was just kind of how it was. I would actually say that Mewtwo King is the Smash Daigo, and definitely not the other way around. But he's our robot. We get our own robot. um, yeah, if they land behind you, your options become a little bit different um, because you can't grab that way. Most up Bs aren't as useful that way. Most up smashes aren't useful that way. Your up smash shadow shield really is really bad as Marth, so I would almost never ever do it unless you get super crazy good at this game and you notice that somebody does an aerial on the way up that hits your shield perfectly and you can up smash them perfectly. Yeah, I've played Marvel for sure. I went at Marvel pretty hard. But yeah, unless you like that right there, like he's obviously is right there. You're never gonna use that up smash. Don't do it. just don't even use it. Up tilt, up tilt, up tilt. So good. So good. Yeah, Captain America. Captain was my guy for sure. Love Cap. Yeah, there's no equivalent to foot dive in this. I'm sorry. There's nothing quite so automatic. You also don't get assists. Sorry. Um, yeah, if they hit the back of your shield, that's where you'll want to be good at that. Wave dashing out of shield. It's not always the best option. Sometimes the best option, and again, this game's super dynamic, sometimes the best option is continue to shield. Because it could be that, yeah, that's a fine option for Marth. But it depends on where they hit you from and what character it is. So a lot of the time, like you were saying, you kind of just sometimes you just feel like, oh my gosh, what do I even do? Like everything in the world is happening and it's all hitting me and I'm just dying, and it's awful. Um, in the case of Nair Shine, it really depends on the spacing. Yeah, Marth can recover super good. Thank you for coming, by the way. We've actually got a decent amount of people in here. Um, I do plan on doing more stuff like this. I know I'm not the absolute pinnacle of Smash, but I know fighting games as well, so I can help people who are trying to get into it, I guess, that are coming from different perspectives, because I've been able to think about Smash from all those other perspectives. Thank you. You should follow, by the way. Plug, plug, plug. Follow, follow, follow. I'll be doing more stuff like this and other stuff too. Short hop back, forward air, out of shield is a very, very good option if someone's hit you with the edge of their move. So like if you were playing against a different Marth and he did this and it like barely reached you, and that doesn't look like it, but that barely reached Bowser, the hitbox just popped him out a little bit. I don't like fighting level 9s. Don't like it. Don't like fighting level 9s. You can do it sometimes, but don't do it very often or you'll get horrible habits. So if somebody does a move that barely hits the end of you, eh, sure, I'll throw a level 9 in there. They're kind of bad for demonstrating, but so is a level 1. But we're not going to make it a Bowser. We're going to put it on, I guess. Hopefully he blocks something. Oh, no, I forgot. Ganon's stupid. This isn't going to work. Whatever. So if somebody... that's actually funny that you say that. I agree. I think that Marvel 3, even though it's super fast, is much easier to space in. Um, so if somebody comes at you and they tap the end of your shield like that, that's when you can jump back forward air. Some moves will beat that, but it is a good option. Jump back neutral air is okay. I don't think it's as good. But if somebody lands like right in your face and they have a low lag, right, you're not going to want to you're not going to jump back forward air because they're already in your face. They can punish the startup of your jump before that forward air happens. Because your forward air does not start down. Your forward air starts up at the top. So it takes it more frames to get to that bottom point of the hitbox where it'll actually matter. So if a Ganon is right in your face, does a forward air in your shield, and does a jab, which is a 3-frame move, which is very, very fast and good, obviously, if you try to jump back forward air, you're going to get bopped by the jab, right? Because now you're in the air and your move hasn't come out yet. Or it's come out, but it's not low enough to actually do anything to him. This level 9 isn't going to work. I don't like it. um, yeah, basically out of shield because you can jump out of shield. You can do anything out of shield because jump is the best move in Smash, with maybe the exception of dash dancing. Because you can do everything. You can wave dash out of a jump. You can up smash. You can grab. You can maneuver. You can do whatever. Uh, I can. I'm not going to. I haven't done the events in years. I just played through the first couple of them again. I cleared my memory card a little bit ago. Um, are there any other concepts that you're, I guess, or you feel like are areas where you're not really sure what to do though, Mickey? I don't want to give too much information because it's in this game. It's so hard to process stuff. Once the exchange actually happens, it becomes really hard to actually process all this information. um, you're actually already playing the character I would recommend. Falco, I feel like, is the most Marvel character in this game, and that's because work on that forward air. For sure. That's like a key thing. Um, the reason that I say Falco coming from a Marvel background is because in Marvel, you're generally going to be playing fairly aggressive and safe, right? Your aggression in Marvel is good to the point where you can maintain its safety with covering assists and things like that while still being able to mix them up, right? Falco doesn't need assists. He has a gun. A very, very good gun. There's an old school phrase where people would say Falco doesn't need mind games because he's got a gun. Which, for certain levels of play, is absolutely true. Like this, that is your assist. That is assist 1, assist 2, assist 3. It's assist everything. And then you can follow it up and do shine down air and all sorts of shenanigans. It's crazy. Oh yeah, Ken combo. I'll show you real quick. No contest. No, the lasers you just... Oh, let me actually, let me show you the lasers real quick, and then I'll show you the Ken combo stuff. I'll show you some kind of basic things to watch for as Marth in a second. This is just short hop laser. If you land... I'm not in lag, see? I'm just in land. So there's no gun there anymore, right? Where if I do it on the ground, I shoot it, I spin it, I put it away. So you can land and do shine, you can land and do up tilt, up smash, up whatever. You can do short hop laser grab to get yourself in there. If you think they're just going to hold shield because they're terrified because you're Falco and you're a terrifying character, you've got lots of options out of that laser. The laser is the one thing that... Laser game makes or breaks a Falco and what they do out of it. Because a lot of people like to do laser approach, laser approach, laser approach. You don't want to have patterns. Patterns are bad in fighting games. Bad. Don't do it. Shine grab. I'm not super technical, so I don't know that I'll be able to do this. Whoops. I'm not doing it right. Basically, because you can jump cancel shine, you can cancel that jump into grab. So if you're playing against somebody and they are just shielding a lot, and not rolling out of the way, they're not spot dodging or anything like that, and you're having trouble opening them up, or you just want to get a free hit because you've conditioned them to uh, shield, 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 because anytime you roll, you actually hit them. Like you've gotten very good at this point, theoretically, right? Um, short hopping, you just hold the the way that you do it. It's not about light press versus hard press or anything like that. It's about how long you are holding the button. So some characters, yeah, you just want to tap it and let go very, very fast. I don't know if you can see that, but if I hold this button down, I'll do a full jump. If I tap it, I'll do a short hop. Some characters are easy, like Falco. Falco's got, I don't remember the frames of the jumps because it's just been so long, but Falco's jumps is much slower. Fox's jump, he's in the air on the fourth frame. You have to let go of jump by this on the second frame, so it's difficult to tap and let go that quickly. Bowser's in the air on the like 940th frame, so you can like fall asleep on the button and it'll still short hop, which is frustrating sometimes. But yeah, shine grab, you just shine, jump, and then cancel your jump in the same way you would like a jump canceled grab. I don't know if you know how to do that either. There it is. This is a little easier also with Falco because the jump... Actually, I don't know if this is true. I feel like because his jump doesn't leave the ground as fast, you've got a little bit more leeway with the input than you do with Fox, for example. As far as the combo game goes for Marth, there are several basic things that you're going to want to look for. If you're doing forward airs and stuff like that, I'm just going to get them up some percent real quick. Whoops, sorry. Oh, the other jump. Okay, so right, it's too much now, so it's not really going to work. But basically, you just want to do stuff where if you see them like floating in an area where you know you can do one of those after a forward air. This was much easier on Bowser for example purposes. I'll get Bowser back in here. Um, Ken combo specifically is forward air into down air, but there are lots and lots and lots of variations of that sort of a combo where you're going to be doing stuff into, I'll get into pressure in just a moment, where you're going to be doing like an up tilt, let's say, and maybe your up tilt sends them like that, right? So then you're going to be able to jump and do a down air. Obviously I missed it because I don't play Marth, but see that? If that doesn't hit him quite as high as that, because Bowser would have been able to jump, then you've got the option of doing a down air. Your down air is a spike, it's not meteor cancelable, so if you can hit someone with a down air and they're off the stage, they're dead. With a few exceptions. Sometimes at super low percents they'll make it in there. But like right there, see that? Now that one, we weren't quite far enough off the stage, so he would have been able to DI that and live if that were actually a human. But still something to look for. Oh, you got me. Get me fish combo. But you want to see them... Yeah. Marth, you've probably noticed. He has... If you haven't comboed them into a kill already, he can have trouble getting the kill. Because he can't really do random kill moves. I mean, it seems like he can because this move's so big and strong and it kills and etc. etc. Against people who know what they're doing, which is probably what you noticed while you came to Game Clucks, you're going to have a hard time landing random that. Really, really hard time. And it's because people are moving around like this, where they are ready to punish you for throwing a limb out, right? It's the same concept as Street Fighter. If you throw a limb out that's not safe, so this is the equivalent of throwing a fierce, right? doing like a crouching heavy kick or something like that with a character that doesn't have a super unpunishable sweep or whatnot, right? So that can be counterpoked. So he has this kind of tricky spot where after 130, 120 to 100 to 160, you're like, what do I do? How do I kill this guy? That's when up tilt starts to matter a little bit more. Up tilt has a bunch of really janky hitboxes on it. I like to say it kind of just sends you whichever direction is worst for the other guy. Whether that's going to be a combo, whether it's going to send you like awkwardly off the stage or whatever. It just does some really weird stuff. Something else to look for at the beginning is move into grab. Forward air grab, neutral air grab, whatever. Oh, I missed it. That's like the perfect example. I'm getting edge guarded. But your downer otherwise is not very good, so don't get super excited about like coming down on somebody with a downer is not good. It's got too much lag. But like that is a really basic example. You can do the first hit of your neutral and wait just so the first hit lands is all. Then you can get a grab out of that, right? Because you don't always need the whole move to land. That's kind of a common thing that Captain Falcon players like to do as well. Pop that first hit. Yep, those combo straight into each other. The end goal, and you're not going to be here for a while, is to have perfect edge guarding. That is Marth. Marth is land the grab, get him off the stage, perfect edge guarding. On a stage like this, he's mobile enough left and right to hold his own in the center of the stages. He's got really solid combos with his up moves. Like up air is probably up air forward. He's got a lot of really good combo moves. Up air is really good, is the moral of the story. This move is super good. It covers a ton of space above him. You can combo into it. You can combo out of it. Obviously not at 128 because now we're in that kind of weird zone that I was telling you about before. But throwing them off the stage and edge guarding them is going to be a big thing eventually. Your question with dealing with pressure is a loaded question. Oh, by the way, up air into grab also combos at low percents. You can up air or do up air up tilt, up air forward air, all sorts of good stuff like that. Dealing with pressure is tough in this game. We kind of went over it a little bit earlier with options out of shield. But until you get to a certain point, you're going to get pressured. There was a Ken combo for you. You're going to get pressured and it's going to hurt. Rolling isn't a great option until you've proven that you know how to do other things. So people are watching for now instead of like, I'll do this and then he'll just roll around. Yeah, no problem, man. I'll do this and then he'll roll around, so I'm just going to punish his roll. You don't want to do that, but eventually you'll be at the point where it'll be like, okay, I'm going to do this shield pressure, and I'm going to watch for him to do, X option, spot dodge, maybe watch him go for like a shine at a shield or something like that, whatever it is. But pressure's really tough in this game because this game is very dynamic. Anything that you can predict, if your character is decent, you can punish. So if somebody can predict you about to roll, they can punish you about to roll as well. If they can predict you about to, whoops. If they can predict you jumping out of your shield, they can punish that. I like to just kind of, every so often as Bowser, if I get like a knockdown or something like that, I'll run at him and then I'll just do a forward air way up above him. There's a lot of times people jump into it because you've kind of created a scenario where they don't want to be on the ground anymore by doing stuff early in the match. Dash dancing. Yep. Yeah, that's what I would start with, Mickey. You gotta take steps. A buddy of mine that was same guy actually. The guy I mentioned earlier who was frustrated with how I pick up games. He likes to pick up games and learn all the like super complicated combos and stuff right away. He's frustrated that I like to learn the normals, um, which is kind of funny because you basically want to take baby steps. The way I finally explained to that guy, because he does powerlifting too, was that you don't learn that by trying to lift 1,000 pounds over and over again until you do it. You have to lift the small weight first to get your way up there, right? It's the same thing as this. It's the same thing as anything, really. I mean, you can't just like go in and try to be the fastest in the world and try it over and over until you can. You have to take the steps and do processes to get there. So Melee is a very complicated game. Um, yeah, it should. It should for sure. And you can build good fundamental play against almost anybody that's a human. DI becomes super important at some point. I'm sure you've got a little bit of DI experience in you already. We'll go over DI later though, because DI is a whole weird beast. 1 second, Mickey. I think somebody else had a question up there that I wanted to get into. Oh yeah. Just how to deal with pressure. Yeah, just don't try not to panic is the best advice I can give for not dealing with pressure. Because again, if you get panicky, they'll be able to predict you. Same like in Street Fighter, if you're getting panicky, somebody knows you're about to do a Shoryuken on Wake Up or whatever. It's the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing in this game, where you want to feel in control, and you can't do that until you have the technical basics, and I use the term basics very, very loosely because this game is so complicated and difficult. Until you have the basics down, you kind of can't deal with pressure, to be honest. So if you're getting baited and then getting chain grabbed or whatever, I mean, it's probably because you're panicking or because you don't know a fundamental thing that will reset the situation if it's happening so consistently anyway. Yeah, absolutely. Come to the next tournament for sure. I'm hoping there's going to be a bunch of people at the next one. You should enter Project M too, because Project M's been getting really big in Washington. Acting from the ledge. This is when it gets really scary, because if you get hit, you without your jump, you're dead. Like, period. There's no age requirement. You can show. I mean, if you're like 4, I don't know. I don't know if you do well. Let's go to a stage that's got a couple other options. Oh, I'm gonna go to Yoshi's Story. Yoshi's Story is a super good Marth stage. I'll show you why in a second. But it's also a really good Bowser stage. Not that CPU Bowser is going to be a problem. Oh, forgot. Yoshi's. If you're on the ledge, in theory, you've got all the options in the world. You have invincibility frames when you do almost anything. This get-up attack is normally invincible if you're under 100%. Your jump has a little bit of invincibility. Ledge hop, which is a tech that I'm sure you know, but if any of you guys don't know, I played against Mewtwo King. It was a long, long time ago, though. You can just drop from the ledge and jump, right? So this resets your invincibility, but you can be hit out of it. So you don't want to just like do that while they're there, because somebody will bop you with something. But because you can do that, you can also do ledge hops. Ledge hop forward air is something that people are going to tell you is really good. Don't do it yet. Please don't do it yet. This is what I want you to do. So you can do that with just the C-stick, same deal as before, where C-stick becomes valuable, because you've got good aerial control. That's something to do just to give you just that little tiny bit of space. It's not always going to work. For sure, it's not always going to work, but it's something. You know what I mean? It's something to give you some sort of a headache away from you on that edge. Other things that you can do, you can, and this is really tricky, and I'm not as familiar with marth timing, so I'm probably going to die. You can wave land straight onto the stage. Like I said, when you let go of this edge, you get a little bit of invincibility. So a lot of the time, if you do it well, you can wave land right through attacks. Now that isn't always reliable, but it works sometimes. And then you can grab them, and if you get a grab and you're a good marth, they're dead. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can wave land on the stage with pretty much everybody. But you're still, even though you can wave land, you can do all sorts of different things on the edge. You're still, you have the disadvantage. Being on the ledge in this game, in theory, is not a bad spot to be because you've got pretty good options there. But in reality, it is exactly the same as being in the corner in a fighting game. It is exactly the same thing. Your options, they exist, but it's not your turn. Same thing we were talking about before, where we were talking about your turn, my turn at lunch the other day with Nikki. It's not your turn on the ledge. And that's why it's so scary, because it's the one point in Smash where it is like definitively not at all even remotely your turn. Because a lot of the time you can punish people's bad approaches. You can deal with pressure if it's kind of sloppy or whatever. But if you're hanging on this ledge, it's not your turn. With very few exceptions. Bowser is one of them. It can sometimes be his turn. Iceman's pretty good. I wouldn't feel bad about losing to Iceman. It depends where you're at. Where are you from? I mean, Game Clutch, for example, I wouldn't call most of the people that enter the tournament noobs, but pretty much every scene has the like 4 people or whatever that can actually make money, and then everyone else is there to get experience. So. And that's exactly the same for every scene, every fighting game community or whatever. You're not going to have a tournament of 90 people where all 90 people can win that tournament. It just doesn't happen. You've got the top, 10, top 8, top whatever that have a chance of winning. Sometimes you'll have more extreme stuff where, let's say in Marvel 3, you're not playing at the absolute top level, but you've got some good players. That's when it gets kind of like, all right, well, there's lots of people that can win this. Because Marvel can be kind of messy other than at the top level. Peak level Marvel is super like clean and awesome. Well, I don't know that I go so far to say clean, but it's awesome. and it's fairly consistent. Oh, let me show you why this stage is really good for Marth, if you haven't guessed already. These platforms you can cover like completely from down here, right? Your forward smash will almost always automatically tipper people. I don't know if tipping has been explained to you yet, but basically Marth's sword has several different areas of hitbox. If you hit with the tip of his sword against the tip of an opponent, you'll get a tipper, which is like a bazillion times knockback. So if you knock somebody up onto this platform with like an up tilt or something, let's say, oh, he's at a weird percent. This isn't going to work. Please land on there? No? Anyway, if you forward smash them this way, that hitbox, look at that forward smash hitbox. It covers like the entire everything up there. The other reason that it's good for Marth is this. You can down tilt, and because the stage is slanted down, you are slanted down. So your down tilt now hits below the stage. Your forward smash now hits below the stage. So that's another good edge guarding option. Just as far as counter picks and things go, this is a good stage to pick. That was a tipper right there, because he was on that platform. This is also a good Fox stage, though, so it can be frightening to take a technical Fox here. There's a Ken combo for you into Cloud Edge Cancel. But yeah, I'd be hesitant to do this too often from the ledge. This will get you punished more and more and more at tournaments until you, again, give them that level of I have to respect your get-ups. Most characters' get-up attacks are not very good. Bowser's an exception to that. Bowser's get-up attack is boss. It's the best in the game by far, not even close. I would also be hesitant to do too many of these, or too many of these. Same deal as doing a forward air to approach all the time. That's just going to get punished. Um, yeah, exactly. So you'll be playing against somebody, and they'll be like right here, and you're like, oh God, what do I do? One other option that you have, if they're seriously just waiting because they know that your lack of experience is going to hurt you, right? Which any Street Fighter player would do against a newer player. Like, you know that their lack of experience, and you're going to use that against them, right? One of the things you can do that's kind of nice, if you just do a ledge hop and just barely tap forward. See, I just landed on the stage, and like, I'll get the Ganon out of there.
No contest.
This is a lot. Oh, I got a trophy. Nice. This is a technique that you'll see Samus players do a lot. But pretty much every character can do it. I think it works fine with Marth. Yeah, exactly, because they're waiting, like, let's say you've got this, let's pretend this Samus is on the ledge here, right? And they're waiting, like, right here. And most characters don't have a big fat sword, so that doesn't become a huge problem at that distance. But they're waiting for you to do something. They're waiting for you to stick out a limb, for you to do a ledge hop forward air, for you to wave land on the stage so they can just grab, whatever it is. So they wait there. But if you are on the ledge, you can get a little tiny bit of respect by just barely landing on the stage. Barely, barely go forward. These ones aren't very good examples. I would actually drop down a little bit further, and so that you really just barely land on the stage, right? Because from here, you can grab, you can do whatever. Yeah, ledge hops are really good in theory and really good when you're really good. If you're not really good and you're too predictable with them, like every Sheik player in the history of the universe, with a few exceptions, is probably going to ledge hop forward air, right? So then ledge hop forward air, even though it's a really good option, becomes a really bad option because everyone's ready for it. But yeah, just barely land on that stage. It's not always a good option, but it's just something else. I got moved over because the Samus isn't early. So it's an option. Gives you something. Don't jump. Ever, ever, ever. Never do this. Yeah, exactly. From there, just it's kind of like a soft reset. The nice thing about that is every so often, if you start doing that enough, people will start standing just a smidge closer. And you know what hits them when they stand just a few bits closer is your ledge hop forward air. And your ledge hop forward air is really, actually surprisingly safe. But you know, even if you do like fade away forward air, be careful not to do back airs if you're using the A button. You know, it's all the setup stuff. It's complicated, but its concepts are the same. Same concepts as there would be in Street Fighter and Marvel and whatever else. Yeah, nair from the ledge is also really good, because it hits them later, I suppose, when you're closer to the ground. Yeah. Whenever I kill somebody, I go to the ledge. Marth on the ledge can be really dangerous if you're really good. But yeah, if you do ledge hop neutral air onto the stage, that also is a really good option because you can combo into it. It's a lot harder to punish. because that second hit hits on the way down rather than on the way up. Forward air hits on the way up, so they've got all the time in the world to punish it. So, just a couple more options. Any other questions in the meantime? Excellent, excellent. Oh, I don't know if you saw what I did just there. Same type of a thing, but you can just pop up onto the stage and spot dodge immediately. Pop up on the stage and do whatever. Why do I go to ledge? Well, I go to ledge because I'm Bowser. Bowser's best spot is the ledge. Like, not even close. By far his best spot. I'll show you why. So keep in mind, remember your ledge attack and how it was a little wimpy, shorty thing that barely went anywhere. Now look at mine. It goes forever. Yeah, but my character is like designed for the corner. Like that hits so far away. So like that area where people stand to wait to like bait you out, it does not work on Bowser at all. Now that's not to say that move isn't like punishable. This isn't like the be-all end-all of why this is good for Bowser. Another reason is this. I can ledge hop grab. So if you're trying to punish me for doing ledge hop forward air, by blocking the forward air, I can just grab you instead. Because this is an air grab. On this stage in particular as well, if I jump, I instantly land on this platform. So I can act immediately. My up B also cancels onto the edge, so I can, like, it's just awesome. Not really. Edge game is difficult. Marth is actually super good on the edge. It's just hard to get to the point where it's advantageous to you as a player. That's how it becomes difficult to actually get there. And the reason that King likes to play by the edge is Marth's strongest area is by the ledge, just because he can get because Marth is like the king of gimp kills, and his edge guarding is almost perfect. So the closer he is to the ledge, if he gets a grab near the ledge, you better hope he messes up, because King's almost perfect. Or he was. And this applies to other characters too. Like, if you're, let's say that you're down like 3 stocks and you're in a tournament match, you're going to want to play like the whole match by the ledge. The other person's going to want to play the whole match in the center of the stage. Like, so then it becomes this kind of strange battle for positioning where you're trying to get them to come to you. They're just kind of saying, no, I'm up X stock. You play by my rules. You know, it's the same thing as having the health lead with clock running down in Street Fighter. What character are you trying to chain grab with? Marth. Alright, Mickey. You have a good night. Yeah, man, I'm glad that it did. I'm glad we did this. I think this was probably one of the most helpful ways to like show you a little application things of it. I'm obviously just playing against a computer, but it still can help. Okay, I'm going to attempt to show this chain grab, and then I am also going to bed because I'm pretty tired too. The chain grab's kind of tough though. At low percents, you have to be able to pivot for this, which I don't know how to do. Now I don't have to pivot. Sometimes you'll see them pop in the up air, right? On that chain grab. It's because really you want to combo them into that. You don't want to just chain grab them. You want to get them off the stage. Yeah, pivoting is a complicated concept. So if you're doing oh, leave me alone, Fox. See how I'm kind of moving and then grabbing, but I'm not doing this. I can't get it anymore. Man, it's been so long. All right, man. You have a good night. There it is. Sorry, I'm trying to. Those were pivots there. See, I'm kind of running back, and then I'm doing that forward smash in the opposite direction. Because in the middle of a dash dance, you have the ability to pivot. Basically meaning that if you do a move on the very opening, you see how when I turn around, you can see that one frame where Marth's standing up. I don't know if you can actually see it in because of the stream. There it is. So in the middle of the dash dance, you get one frame of this. When you get this frame, you can grab, you can forward smash. There's a couple of things you can do. But pivoting is super important for Marth. It's important for a lot of characters at super top, skill levels. But that will allow you to position yourself appropriately to still land a grab, even though they've DI'd out too far for you to dash grab them, but too close for you to just grab them. Yeah, it's hard. Anyway, I don't really play Marth, so I don't know how to do I don't know how to do this chain grab well enough to actually show you. But hopefully I've been helpful for more people than just Mickey. I know that I just kind of did this to help him out and put stuff in perspective of traditional fighting games and things for people. But hopefully you guys have been helped in some way too. But I'm tired now, and I've been playing Smash for like 2 hours versus computers, which is not a thing that I've done in the last like 5 years. So I think I'm going to go to bed here pretty soon. But if you learned anything, if you enjoyed the stream, if you like, yeah, I'm going to be streaming all the time. This channel is going to be doing a lot of different things. I really like coaching. I feel like coaching is a strength that I have. I might not have absolutely the most knowledge of anybody, like I've been saying, of the game, but I do know a lot about Melee and about how it's played and about how people play it, I suppose, is the biggest thing. So I will do streams that are like tutorial type things. Yeah, that's true. That's true. He can do it on Bowser a couple of times for sure. I know he can on a bunch of characters. But yeah, I'll be streaming pretty often. It won't always be Melee though. The reason this channel is called 62-bit gaming, for one, I'm giving Fish 62. There's the 62. The bit thing is because I am a retro gamer. I have a pretty good video game collection going on right now, and got my power glove. Um, and I plan on doing streams where I play through some games that I either missed when I was younger or I just think are fun or whatever else. So there will be some amount of streaming for that type of a thing. I do tournament streams as well. I streamed with help, meaning mostly Days did it, of Days at the last GameFlex tournament. Hopefully I'll be streaming on both this channel and on GameFlux channel the next GameFlux tournaments. I'm hosting my own tournament series pretty soon at my work, which is also kind of, I guess you could say, sponsoring, or I don't know. Another castle, you see the logo on the top that's right underneath where it says 16-bit gaming. That's my work. They are a retro gaming company that they sell, they clean, they repair video games, anything from, I mean, we've had Odysseys in there, Ataris, anything up through the new stuff. So that's where I have purchased most of my games, and then I eventually got a job there. So I'm running a tournament series there as well as part of my job, which is going to be pretty awesome. I Anyway, you should subscribe though. That's the point. Yeah, yeah. Or follow or whatever they call it on this. Because I will be doing more. If you liked it, let me know though. Because I have only been doing this for like zero amount of time now. This is like my second day of having this actually even hooked up at all. So let me know what you think. But I'm gonna go to bed, so I'm gonna shut down the stream. Um, Feel free to send me messages on either Facebook or my YouTube. There is a Facebook channel or a Facebook page for 62-bit gaming. Oh, thank you, you guys. I didn't even know you were in here. um, but I haven't been doing much to it yet because, like I said, I just got this all kind of started up very recently. But you can send me messages on Facebook or on YouTube to just straight to GippyFish62, and hopefully I'll be able to respond to those messages if you send them there. But that does it for me. I'm tired. Been playing Melee way too long. So I will talk to you guys later. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for viewing.